Yo, what up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a unit guide for every single unit in TFT Set 9. I'm basing this off of my experience as being a multi-set challenger player, and I've been fortunate enough to get to play on the PvE server for the past week. So I'll be taking you through all of them, and we'll just be going through what each of the units do, what their design intention is. What I mean by that, are they utility unit, are they damage, and some loose itemization. What I mean by that is I'll tell you what type of items you want to put on them and what will be good on them throughout the set, but I won't be giving you like specific best in slot because that's patch dependent, and I don't think it'll be helpful in this video. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. First up is Cassiopeia. Right before we get into going through each of the things, I do want to say I will not be talking about openers in this video. I'll be doing a separate video for openers, or this video would be like 2 hours long. But I will talk a little bit about it, but just know there'll be separate videos for each of the things that you're probably having questions about, just to keep the videos a little bit more concise. All right, Cassiopeia, she's a Noxus, Shuriman, and Invoker, and she has her Twin Fang. Cassiopeia deals magic damage to her current target and wounds them, which is healing reduction. If they are wounded, she deals a little bit extra bonus magic damage. So she is going to be a standard AP carry in the early game. If she's strong on a patch at any time, she's going to be a very good unit to hold, because as you can see right here, she is a 3-trait 1-cost unit, which is pretty cool because you can get an Invoker opener, or Noxus opener, Shurima opener, and you can feel kind of strong with that. So itemization you're going to put on her standard AP items. As you can see, she is 40 mana, so she will be a better blue buff user rather than a Sojin user. And I'm not going to explain that more throughout this video. If you don't know, blue buff is better on units that have less mana. Sojin is better on units with like high mana costs, like 120 mana. They both work on each other, but they're just a little bit better optimized in that way. That's probably the last I'll talk about mana items and when to build them and that sort of thing. But yeah, she's a blue buff user if you want to do that. Other than that, build standard AP carry items, JG, Archangels, that sort of thing. Boom, bam, boom. Bob's your uncle. You're good to go. All right, Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is a very cool unit. Cho'Gath has a Void and a Bruiser. Cho'Gath deals some magic damage to the lowest adjacent enemy, and if he kills them, he would devour them, gaining permanent health. Now, these stats on Mobalytics right here are not correct. He's been getting nerfed quite a bit on the PvE server. He feels very strong on the PvE server, but he is a tank and can deal a decent amount of damage in the early game. So if you want to itemize Cho'Gath, standard, you're just going to put some tank items on him, but I've also ran like frontline carry items on him as an item holder. You know, the standard items like BT, Titans, you know, the items you'd want to put on a frontline carry. He can definitely hold those as well. It can be very strong. There will definitely be some reroll metas where Cho'Gath will be meta, and in which case, again, I do think building like a BT, Titans, you know, building a Spark, building just standard tank items will also be good on him. So boom, bam, boom. We love Cho'Gath. All right, Aurelia. She is an Ionian and a challenger. Her ability is Defiant Dance. Aurelia enters a defensive stance and gains a shield that rapidly decays for 3 seconds. When it breaks, deal magic damage, 30% of the damage absorbed to enemies around in front of Aurelia, and she has her Ionia bonus. She gains MR and magic resist. So she is AP. She is AP. So if you want to itemize her, she's a good tank item holder in the early game, you know, building Warmog, Sunfire, those sort of things. Also, she can hold those frontline damage items like Titans, BT, that sort of thing. I find that she's a pretty good item holder for Yasuo or for a mid-game challenger carry or mid-game frontline carry. So good, really good item holder there. All right, now we have Cotton Eye Jhin. Jhin is my favorite 1-cost unit. Not the time I'm making this video, I think he's the most broken 1-cost unit in the game, and they keep nerfing everything and buffing Jhin's build. I do not understand. But that's, I keep saying it so that they'll nerf him because he is very strong as an item holder. Very strong as an item holder. So Jhin's ability, Curtain Call. Jhin takes his aim, so it's his ultimate from League of Legends, and deals physical damage to enemies in a line. Each hit reduces damage by 40%. Ionia bonus, gaining 20% attack damage. So this line, each hit reduces damage by 40%. What this means is his ability can pass through enemies. Okay? He just pulls up his gun and he shoots one shot, and then he goes back to auto attacking like normal after that. But it can go through enemies. It does reduce damage after it goes through the first enemy. But Jhin is a 1-cost who has backline access. And he's a ranged 1-cost with backline access, and his AI will actually retarget his ability. If his target dies before his cast goes off, he'll actually retarget and will shoot it off. So he's a very good unit, very good AD item holder. You're going to put standard AD carry items on him, like, you know, Rageblade, Last Whisper, IE, Deathblade, that sort of thing. I think Jhin is very good. All right, we have Kayle. And Kayle is been kind of the problem child of PBE. Her build has been nerfed so many times because Demacia is pretty good and she has some really unique scaling. So Divine Ascent. So Kayle has a passive. Kayle gains new passive effects as your tactician levels up. Level 1, attacks deal... This is your tactician. Keep this in mind. Attacks deal bonus magic damage. Level 6, every third attack launches a wave that deals magic damage and shreds. Remember, shred, reducing magic resist. Shreds enemies for 4 seconds. Level 9, every attack launches a wave and they travel further. So Kayle is a really good item holder for AP units and Rage Blade. So if you want to toss a Rage Blade on this bad girl, you want to put a Shiv on this girl, you want to put Jewel Gauntlet, that sort of thing. Those are going to be the good items for her. And as I said, she's been kind of the problem child of the set so far because Demacia is very strong. And as you can see, she gets bonus effects at level 9. So a lot of people use her to go fast 9 and then just keep playing her and just play like a duo carry Demacia build with like Lux and Kayle. So try some of that stuff out. We'll go into that maybe in the build guides. I don't really play a lot of Demacia though. All right. Now we got Malzahar. Malzahar, Call the Void. He's a Void and a Sork. Malzahar opens up 2 portals near the current target, destroying 30% of all shields, or 30% of shields, and deal magic damage to all enemies caught in between the ports. So it's, you know, if you played the League, you know what that is. It's a little AoE ability in a line. You see his 0 out of 50 mana, so he's a good blue buff user, opposed to Sojin, but you can build Sojin on all that good. Standard AP carry items on him, guys. Boom, bam, boom. Bob's your uncle. All right, Maokai. Maokai, Sap Magic, passive. Whenever an enemy uses their ability, gain 5 mana. Very cool. Active, Maokai. Maokai's next attack heals him. So it's his passive from League of Legends where he just auto-attacks him and kind of sucks a little life out of you. That is what he does. Standard tank items. That's where you're going to build on him, guys. If you want to item hold him. Boom, bam, boom. Bob's your uncle. All right. Orianna. Orianna, she is a Piltover and Sork. Orianna grants the lowest health ally a shield for 4 seconds. When the shield expires, it deals magic damage to adjacent enemies and chills them for 3 seconds, chilling being reduced attack speed by 50 seconds. So she is a very good AP item holder in the game. She's not the best carry in the early game. You know, you can get you could be a little bit better off playing like Malzahar and Cassiopeia usually. As you can see, she is 100 mana, so she's a better Sojin user opposed to the other thing. Now she is going to be better with flat AP scaling instead of crit scaling because again, she does provide a shield. So an item like an Archangel is going to be better than a Jeweled Gauntlet on her because, again, you can get the double scaling from the flat AP. Or like a Death Cap is probably a better item than a Jeweled Gauntlet, but you can still totally build a Jeweled Gauntlet if that's what you get, and she can provide some decent damage in the early game. A little inconsistent, though, because when she's the last one left in a fight, she will shield herself, and if she's not fighting a melee unit, she'll literally deal no damage with her ability because the ability only deals damage to people around that shield. So, all right. Young Poppy is a Yordle, Demacian, and a Bastion. She has Steadfast Hammer, gain a shield for 3 seconds, and deal magic damage to her current target. This is not when she doesn't slap down on the ground and deal AoE damage. It's just to her target that she's auto-attacking. And then she has a 4-star upgrade where she knocks her target into the largest clumps of enemies. So it's like her ultimate from League of Legends. She bounces them up and then knocks them to the backline. 4-star is a thing that we'll go through in our Yordle, or in our trait guide. That is a Yordle feature if you're going to reroll Yordles, which is kind of how you play Yordles. If you're not going to reroll Yordles, you just play her as an item holder. And even if you are playing reroll Yordles, you're going to build like the same stuff on her, which is just going to be standard tank items. There's probably a world where you build like Spark Titans and that sort of thing. I'm sure there'll be a patch where that's playable, but for the most part, you just put tank items on her if you want to have a tank. You know what I'm saying? All right. Bakrok, Renekton. He's a Shuriman and a Bruiser. Cole the Meek, which is Q from League of Legends. Deal magic damage to adjacent enemies. Heal for each of the heal for the first enemy hit, and another smaller amount for each additional one. So standard tank, guys. Put tank items on him. You're good to go. Have a good time. All right, Samira. She is a Noxus Challenger. She is oh yeah, Flare. Samira shoots at her current target and deal X to the first enemy hit and reduce their armor. So she has a little bit of built-in shred on her ability. It doesn't mean that you can't also build Last Whisper on top of that, so don't be afraid to do that. Standard AD carry items, guys. So you're going to be building like Rage Blade, IE, Death Blade, that sort of thing. really good AD item holder for the early game, and I'm sure there'll be some reroll builds throughout the set for her. Tristana. Tristana gains attack speed for 4 seconds for duration. Attacks explode on impact and deal physical damage to enemies within 1 hex. Her 4-star upgrade. Every 8th attack deals bonus damage, physical damage, keep that in mind, and ricochets to the largest clump of enemies and deal physical damage. I've seen her do very well in the in a reroll build. I have seen her do pretty well in a reroll build. So you will build standard AD items on her, but you know, she is 0 out of 40 mana, so there is a world that if you're just playing her as an item holder and you get a random blue buff, you can toss that on her and then, you know, see what happens. You know, she'll be gaining a lot of attack speed. You know, if you can't build a Rage Blade, but you can build a blue buff, it kind of function similarly to a Rage Blade here because her mana cost is so low. So keep that in mind. I would not ever build that on her if I was going to carry her, but that's just an item holder. So standard AD items, but there's a world we can build like a blue buff or something like that as well. Boom. All right, Diego. Diego has been one of the best reroll carries. I'm not going to speak on that other than I'm just going to talk about what he actually does. But I just wanted to say that a lot of people have been rerolling him a lot. He's been nerfed quite a bit on the PBE server. So if you've seen some gameplay of him on the PBE server popping off, he has been heavily nerfed and will probably continue to be, or will probably stay the same on launch, but we'll figure it out whenever we get day 1 patch notes. We'll see. All right, his ability, Blade of the Rune King. Deal X magic damage to the current target for the rest of combat. Viego's attacks deal bonus stacking magic damage here, and he is a Shadow Isles and a rogue, and so he's a frontline DPS, but keep in mind, rogues kind of function like an assassin. Once they get below a certain health threshold, they will kind of like blink to a target within 3 hexes, the furthest target, prioritizing squishy units or backline units. So he doesn't function exactly normally like a standard frontline carry, so you can play him with, like, you know, balls to the wall AP items if you'd like. But he's also going to be very good with items like Titans and BT, Jeweled Gauntlet, Spark. Those are all going to be great items on him. He has 0 out of 40 mana, but you will not be building blue buff or anything like that on him because, again, he is on the front line, so he'll be taking enough damage to charge up his mana costs anyways. You could probably item hold blue buff on him for sure, but I don't think that would ever be optimal if you were going to try to reroll the dude. All right, now let's go to 2 cost here. First up, we have Ashe. Ashe, she fires her volley. She's a Freljord and a Deadeye. She's a very good utility unit. Ashe fires 8 arrows in a cone, each dealing a physical damage to the first target, to the first enemy hit, and chilling them for a certain amount. Chill reduces attack speed by 30%. Ashe is a utility unit. I'm sure there'll be a patch where you can play her as a carry, but she is primarily the utility unit of the Deadeye comp, and she's really a Freljord bot. Like, if you're going to play Aphelios, most of the time you're going to play Ashe Sejuani, or Ashe Lysandra, so you can guarantee getting Freljord, which is a very good trait to splash into most builds. If you want to itemize her, you can put Rage Blade, AD carry items, that sort of thing, but typically you don't want her to be your item holder because if you're going to like move into a Deadeye, you know, you'd rather just put the carry items on Jhin and then have Ashe be the utility carry, or carry items on Akshan until you get to your Aphelios. That sort of thing is typically how you're going to be playing around her. All right, young Galio we have here. He's a Demacian and Invoker. Shield of Durand. Galio reduces damage taken by 30% and heals for a certain amount that scales with magic or scales with AP. After deal magic damage to adjacent enemies. So he has a lot going on in his kit. You're going to build him like a standard tank. You can also put stuff like Spark on him. There might be a world where you put like an Archangels and then a bunch of tank items on him and watch him go to town. But yeah, just tank items, Spark, that sort of thing. Boom, bam, boom. You're good to go. All right, young Jinx. We have Zon and a Gunner. Her ability is Fishbones. It's very satisfying to watch her do this. Jinx fires 5 rockets at random enemies within 2 hexes of their current target. Is it really random? Every time I see her do it, she fires it at the single target, but that's what it says here. Each rocket deals physical damage. So again, if you guys want to carry her or put her as an item holder, standard 80 carry items, Rage Blade, IE, Death Blade, that sort of thing. Rune Ends does not work on our 5 rockets. I have tested it. It only works on the first and the last rocket. So if you're thinking you're going to like do some tech, you do Rune Ends and it's like 5 Rune Ends procs, unless they're going to change that, which I don't think they should change that for that. She does not benefit from the Rune Ends for the 5 rockets there. So just standard AT carry items. Boom. All right. Casts a win. He is a Void and a Bastion. He has Pulse Force, which is his W or something from League, right? Gain a shield, so he gains a little bit of a shield, and then deal magic damage to enemies in a cone and disarm them. Disarm's very good. Disarm cannot move or attack, but can cast spells. Okay. Very good CC unit in the early game. I find you just put tank items on him, guys, if you want to put some items on him as a tank item holder. I think he's a pretty good tank item holder if you're playing a Void opener or a Bastion opener. I find if you're playing a Void opener, it's very good. Here's a little bit of tech for you guys. It's very good to put, wow, I can't remember the item. The item that's a tier in a chain put together. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Protector's Vow. There we go. I couldn't think of the item name. You put Protector's Vow on him. It'll make him auto once, then cast. And the way this kind of plays out with your little Void lane, the Void, whenever the Void spawns, it knocks people up. So if you put your Void right in the center of your front line and then put Cassowin right next to it, the Void will knock up their front line, and by the time they land, Cassowin will already have his cast ready, will disarm them. Their front line literally doesn't play the game. It's pretty broken. That's some tech for you guys. Haven't really seen a lot of people talk about it. But boom, bam, boom. Play some tank items on him, and you're good to go. All right. We got young Kled. Kled is very cool. He is a Noxus, Yordle, and Slayer. And he's got Scarl. Passive, start combat with a shield. When it breaks, dismount and gain stacking attack speed for the rest of combat. So keep in mind, when he's on his mount, he will not generate mana. Active, he remounts. So whenever he falls off his mount, he will start generating mana again, and he'll remount after you get your full mana charged up, and you gain a shield, which kind of restarts the cycle. 4-star upgrade, execute enemies under 20% health. Kled is a great item holder. He's gonna want to rock those standard 80 frontline 80 carry items like Titans, BT, but you can also just put like Deathblade, that sort of thing on him as well. All right. Next, we have the boss, Set. He is an Ionian and a Juggernaut. Face Breaker. Set pulls an enemy on either side and slams them together, dealing bonus magic damage and stunning them. If only one enemy is grabbed, the damage and stun duration are increased by 50%. Ionia bonus, 150 health. He is a Jug and an Ionia. So he is one of the best CC units in the early game. CC is such a valuable thing in the early game because it's very hard to get. So he's going to be one of your very few CC units in the early game. He has a very cool opener that I will talk about. It's kind of like an Ionia Challenger Juggernaut opener. I'll talk about that in my openers video, so be looking out for that. I'll get you guys some tech going there. And then as you can see, the stun duration's down here. If you want to put items on him, it's just tank items and you're good to go. There is also a carry build with Set only if you get Set's augment, and then in which case you'd build stuff like Titans, BT, maybe a Spark, something like that, so he does deal magic damage, and you're good to go. Soraka. I love playing Soraka, and I have a Soraka reroll build on the YouTube already, so if you guys want to check out a Soraka reroll game, I did upload it today or yesterday at the time of making this video. Very fun to play Soraka, one of my favorite units in the game. So Soraka is a utility and a damage unit. So Soraka heals the lowest ally for a certain amount, scales with AP. If the ally is below 50%, this increases the healing by 50%. The ally is infused for 5 seconds, calling down 5 stars over the duration and deals magic damage to the closest enemy. So you read that right. She heals and then she starts raining down stars and dealing damage around that target. It's very good. So she's very good with flat AP items because, again, she has the heal scaling. So an Archangel is amazing. But after that, if you actually want to reroll and carry her, doing like an Archangel JG +1 is going to be very good for you. Now, you don't need to build mana generation items because she is an Invoker. And if you're going to carry her, it's very likely you're going to be playing 4+ Invoker, in which case she doesn't really need mana gen. But if you want to build like a mana gen-esque item, I find Rageblade to be a very good item opposed to building something like a Sojin or a blue buff. You can obviously build those if you'd like. The reason why Sojin is nice is because her cast time is really fast. So she just like calls down the stars and then she goes back to autoing. So I find that to be very good. She's also a good Shiv user, of course, because again, she'll be auto attacking quite a bit and she doesn't need that mana gen. Guys, play some Soraka. She's really fun. All right, we got Big Daddy Swain. He is a Noxus strategist and is Sork. I find him to be a very good trait bot in the early game, a very good unit to hold on to in the pickup because Strategist and Sork is a very easy thing to play around in the early game. So Swain transforms and gains health, gains maximum health for 8 seconds. While transform, deal magic damage to enemies within 2 hexes every second. So he's going to be very good with tank items. And if you're going to play a Sork build, you can put some tank items. You can also just item hold for tank items. Items like Spark, items like Titans are going to be very good on him. Items like Archangels plus like double tank item can be very good on him if you actually want to carry him. But he can just item hold tank and frontline AP items. So yeah, there he is. You feel the sunshine. All right. We got Talia here, and she is a Shurima and a multicaster. She is one of the other few CC units in the early game, so keep that in mind. If you want to have CC in your build, Talia is your girl. All right, so passive, whenever an enemy is knocked up by anything, throw a boulder at them, which deals magic damage. Active, Talia knocks up the current target for 2 seconds. So, very good. So one of the very few forms of CC in the early game. And if you end up playing like a Shurima vertical build, putting her behind your Cassante causes a knockup, can add some extra damage for her right there. So pretty good to go. She has 70 mana, so she is more of a Sojin user if you want to itemize her. So if you actually want to itemize her as a carry, it's going to be Sojin plus 2 AP items is going to be your best bet. Jeweled Gauntlet, Archangel, that sort of thing, and you're good to go. Whoa. All right, there we go. Teemo. He is a Yordle, Strategist, and Multicaster. Teemo is a very good unit because he is a 3 trader. Strategist is so easy to splash. Multicaster is very easy to splash in most AP builds. And so, yeah, let's get into it. So Teemo hurls an explosive mushroom at the current target. When it detonates, enemies within 1 hex are wounded, which is healing reduction, and take magic damage over 3 seconds. So he is free healing reduction in the early game. That's pretty good. So if you don't build a Sunfire or you don't have a Morello to build, and then you're versus, like a Warwick, like a Giga Warwick, this can be a very good unit to counter against that type of style. So very good unit to splash in when you don't have healing reduction, and also Strategist is so easy to splash as well. He has 0 out of 50 mana, so if you end up ever wanting to carry him and reroll, he is going to be a better blue buff user rather than a Sojin user. Typically, I don't think about itemizing Teemo. I think it's better to itemize someone else because he is just he's your guy to get in there to get your Strategist, your multicaster. He's a synergy bot, but also, he just provides that healing reduction. It's amazing. But if you do want to itemize him, standard AP carry items with a blue buff, and you'll be good to go. All right. Let's go to Vi. Vi, she's a Piltover and Bruiser. She gains a blast shield. Gain a shield for 4 seconds. This is like Vi from pretty much every set. She gains a shield for 4 seconds, deals physical damage to enemies within 1 hex, and sunders them for 4 seconds, which reduces their armor by 40%. You can put some tank items if you want. I'm sure there'll be a reroll Bruiser build out there eventually. Maybe you can itemize her, but I typically don't really like putting items on her. But if you do, just tank items. I could see a world where you do like Titans BT stuff, but we'll see when that happens. If there's like a reroll Piltover build, we'll see. All right, we got young Warwick, and Warwick is a 3 trader, guys. He's a Zon, Jug, and Challenger. Like I said earlier before when I talked about that Jug, Challenger, Ionia build with Set, that opener, look out for that. I'll make an opener guide, and that's a very powerful opener if you get that set up. Warwick is very good. So Primal Howl, passive. Warwick's attacks restore X health. Active, so he just heals whenever he auto attacks, kind of like Olaf in previous sets. Active for the next 2.5 seconds. The passive healing is increased by 50% after stun the adjacent enemies. So one of the very few ways to get CC in the early game. And like I said, that Ionia Challenger Juggernaut opener, that's 2 frontline units that have CC. Pretty OP. Anyways, so you can build tank items on him as he has a lot of utility here. You can build tank items, but you can also build like Rageblade Titans. +1 can be also really good because he heals naturally. You don't have to build like BT or anything like that on him. So if you want to itemize like a carry, he can be a very good item holder for the early and mid game. But other than that, he can be a tank item holder as well. So keep that in mind. All right, we got Zed. He is another 3 trader, guys. They have a lot of 3 traders in this. He is an Ionian, a Rogue, and a Slayer. Living Shadow. Create a shadow at the furthest enemy within 3 hexes. Zed in his Shadow Slash adjacent enemies dealing X physical damage. So he has a small AoE, and he throws out his shadow to within 3 hexes. So he has a little bit of backline access there. And he's also a rogue. And remember, rogue, once you fall a certain amount of HP, you will get backline access for free. His Ionia bonus is crit chance and crit damage. So his best carry item is going to be Infinity Edge because he gains that bonus crit damage, crit chance. Pretty obvious there, right? After that, items like BT Titans, Edge of Night, those sort of things are going to be good on him. He is an 80 carry, good item holder. Also, there's definitely going to be some reroll builds where you can itemize them, like reroll rogues, reroll slayers, that sort of thing, and you're good to go. I got to take a drink of something, or I will die. Oh, I almost choked. Oh God, I'm about to die either way. All right, we're on 3 costs now, baby. Auction. Auction. Okay, we're on auction. All right, he's a Shreeman and a Deadeye. He has Comeuppance, which is his ultimate, I believe. I've never seen that written out before, but I know what the visual indicator looks like his ulti. So auction locks onto his furthest enemy, keep that in mind. So you can have some positioning things for that. Consider that. It unleashes a hail of 6 shots towards him. It deals physical damage to the first enemy hit, so it can be blocked by frontline units. So just keep that in mind when positioning. You know, if you're versus, you know, if you want to, I'm going to try to conceptualize some of these things, but it's just kind of hard when you're not like actually playing the game. But like, you know, for example, you're fighting a 1v1 at the end of the game and they have all their backline on one side, then you probably want to have your backline, your auction on the same side so that it targets the one straight across them and doesn't get blocked by frontline. However, if they have someone else in the corner, it will go on the other side. So just, there is some positioning nuances there, but, you know, just consider that. So he is an AD carry. So you're going to build standard AD carry items on him, guys. Rageblade, IE, Deathblade, Giant Slayer, all that good stuff. Standard AD carry items, boom, bam, boom. He can be a good duo carry with Aphelios if you're going to run some like Shurima tech. Also, he can just, I'm sure there's going to be some reroll builds out there where Auction is the main carry of a build. He is just a DPS. All right, Young Dario is a Noxus and a Jug. Noxian Guillotine, which is his ultimate. It's Dunkmaster Darius. He is back. Darius deals physical damage. It's not magic damage this time around. To his current target. If they die, he immediately recasts this again with slightly reduced damage. So, Young Dario, he is a Juggernaut. He's going to be very good with the BT +2. So if you want to go BT plus balls to the wall damage or like BT Titans. I haven't played Reroll Juggernauts, but I have played Darius as an item holder to get to my end game. And I've even played like Titans +2 tank items on him, and he was contributing a lot of damage to my team. Darius, I don't know. Darius is going to have some weird patches. He's primarily a carry, but you can itemize him as a tank because, again, he is a Juggernaut, so Juggernauts are just naturally very tanky. And as I said, when I itemized him as a tank, he was still contributing a lot of damage to my team. So, but primarily he is a DPS. Look out for some reroll techs out there whenever he's meta. It's going to be damage plus BT or like BT plus Titans, that sort of thing. All right. We got Echo. He is a triple trader. He is a Zon, a Piltover, and a Rogue. So Echo has Phase Dive. Echo heals for 34% of the damage taken in the last 4 seconds and deal magic damage to the current target. Feels very good. I really like putting items on Echo. There's definitely going to be a reroll Rogue build out there. If you played past sets, you remember like reroll Sins where you roll in 6, roll in 7, that type of thing. He's going to be he can be a carry in that build, but also I found he's just a pretty good item holder for my in-game AP carries. You know, I've item holded items for Kai'Sa and Azir and that sort of thing, and he's felt pretty good. So he's going to be good if you want to carry him. He's going to be good with like JG, Spark, +1 probably. You know, he naturally has healing in his kit. You can even put a Titans on him if you'd want. But also he's going to be a very good user since he does phase dive into the team and he does have Rogue. He's going to be very good with items like Spark, Sunfire. You know, just kind of he gets in the mix and kind of applies that on everybody. He's going to be a good item holder for that thing. So primarily a DPS. Cool. But he can just be a trait bot as well. He does have 3 traits. All right, Garen. And Garen is a lot of people's favorite unit of the set. I have not gotten a chance to play Reroll Juggernauts, but I have seen it in a lot of my games. Looks very cool. So Garen's Judgment. Garen spins a certain amount of times every second for the next seconds. Each spin deals physical damage to adjacent enemies. Something you need to keep in mind, his spins scale with attack speed. So if you build something like Rageblade or, you know, Rageblade Titans, you know, you gain those attack speed bonuses and that sort of thing. He will deal more damage with attack speed. So like a common tech when you're playing with Garen is to build a bunch of Zeeks on your front lines, and then your Garen just deals a bunch of damage and your front line just attacking really fast. It's pretty cool. So he is a DPS. That's all he does. So if you want to play like Rageblade, Titans, BT, or just like, or just do a bunch of Zeeks and go like BT, Titans, or, you know, or just put some flat damage items on them, you can do that as well. All right, here we are. We're on Jace. He is a Piltover and Gunner. He is a Zeeks. That's what you really need to know of him. He opens up a Hex Gate. And just imagine he's a Zeeks. So like you put him like in between like Kai'Sa, Azir or something like that. He will spawn a Zeeks. That's what he does. His active, it spawns a Zeeks, and then he fires a blast, dealing a little bit of physical damage to his target. And it explodes at the first enemy hit. Guys, he's really good. There will be some patches where you put carry items on him, but he's primarily a utility unit, but I'm sure he can carry in some metas. for sure. He's very good if you just put a Q cone on him. Just put one one chalice. I said Q cone. I couldn't even remember what the actual item was called for a second. But if you put a Q cone or a chalice, whatever you want to call it, on him, he will auto attack once and then cast, which is very powerful. So if you're going to play him with like a Kaisa, you put a Q cone on him, boom. He just sets him up Kaisa Azir or something like that. He can be very good. And obviously in gunner builds and that sort of thing, Piltover. Yeah, you're good to go. But he's just a really good like splash in unit for utility. Definitely you're going to see people play him like that during this set. Like play him no synergies, just throw him in there as a Zeke spot. I can definitely see that angle. All right, Callista Fister. I hardly know her. All right. She's a Shadow Isles and a Challenger. She has Pearson Wren. So this is like set 4 Callista if you played her in the past. So passive, her attacks impale a spear into the target, which deals true damage. When removed, Callista rips the spears out of the target that would be killed, impales active impale 5 spirits into the current target. You know, now that I'm looking at this, guys, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I can't remember if she's AP or AD. She is a Challenger, so building someone like Rageway is going to be good to go. I apologize. I just can't remember if she's AP or AD. I haven't played her reroll build yet. I just played her as item holder. So if she's AD, it's going to be standard AD carry items with a Rageblade. GS is going to be Rageblade and GS are going to be very good on her because she's always having to hit frontline. So that's a no-brainer there. And if she's AP, you just put a JG on it. If she's AD, you build the standard AD items like IE and Deathblade. Boom, bam, boom. Bob's your uncle. All right, Karma. All right, she's an Ionia and an Invoker. This is like Karma. This is like Dawnbringer Karma from set 5. If you guys played that, so I'll just read it for you now though. Fire a burst of energy at Karma's target that explodes upon impact, dealing magic damage to adjacent enemies. So it's a small little AOE. Every third cast launches 3. So it is straight up Dawnbringer Karma, the 4 cost, but now she's a 3 cost. Obviously, her stats have been adjusted to her to being a 3 cost. Her Ionia bonus has gained 20% ability power. So she is a carry. She's flat out a carry. She doesn't do anything else. She's very good in reroll invokers. Again, I have a reroll Karma game on the YouTube, so check that out if you guys want to see that. Just go over to the YouTube. I uploaded it today or yesterday. So, yeah, she is a blue buff user. But again, if you're actually going to play her as a carry in Invokers, you're going to be playing 4+ Invokers. If you're playing a full Ionia build, you'll build a blue buff on her. But if you're playing an Invoker-S build, you will not build a blue buff on her because she gains AP by, like, just AP straight up. You'd much rather have just flat AP on her. There's probably a world where you still build blue buff on her. It's probably be patch dependent. But, you know, just building, like... she does hit frontline, so building like a GS can be good. Jeweled Gauntlet, Archangels, you know, flat AP, all that stuff is going to be good for you, and you're good to go. I would not want her to be my Shiv user because her cast times, she does cast very often, and her cast time's kind of slow. So I wouldn't want to put a Shiv on her if I can avoid it. Cool. Katrina, she is a Noxus and a Rogue. So Katarina, she throws 3 daggers that land next to enemies within 2 hexes, then teleports to each, dealing magic damage. So it's very cool to watch. And wounds them. So she has natural healing reduction built into her kit. Keep that in mind. You know, starting to look a little rough out here for Sunfire kit, but we'll talk about that in our items video. Make sure you check that out. I'll upload that soon. Cool. So she is a carry, but she also, again, she has those, she has that built-in wound. So you can also, like, you know, if you get random tank items and you're building reroll rogues, you could put your tank items on her in a spark. You know, you could put like a Warmog spark on her and just watch her go to work, wounding everybody, magic shredding people. That could also be a tech for you, but obviously she can just be a standard AP carry. So just putting like, you know, spark plus, you put spark on someone else if you'd like, but you know, just putting like JG, Hodge +1 can be a really good build. Building like spark +2 can be a really good build. Building like BT spark JG, that could be something, you know. I could even see some tech where you build blue buff and she's just jumping in there and casting quite a bit. That can be some tech as well. So she's an AP carry, very cool. All right, Lysandra. Lysandra is a very good unit. She's going to go in my build for some of the best units of the set that you can plug and play in pretty much every single build. Make sure you check that out. I'll be uploading that soon. This is my first of my guide series for preseason, but we'll be uploading a lot of preseason guides, guys. All right. So her ability, Frozen Tomb. She's a Freljord Invoker. Lysandra stuns her current target for 2 seconds, so a little bit of CC in her kit, and then deals magic damage to surrounding enemies. So very similar to a previous version of her in older sets, if you've played that. They take 10% more damage for the next 4 seconds. Very good. So very good utility unit. She has a lot of utility built in there. If you want to play her as a carry, I have seen her work as a carry in an Invoker reroll build. Now, her mana cost is high, so you can still build something like a Sojourn on her and be fine, but she is 2 hex range, so she will be on the front line, so she will be taking some natural damage as well. So mana items are not necessary on her at all from her Invoker trait, and she'll be taking damage being in the front line. Morello is really good on her, guys. So she's a very good Morello bot. Other than that, standard AP items you can put on her. I've ran some reroll Invoker builds that she's been very strong in. So yeah, that's been really fun. All right, got to take another drink, man. About to die over here. Oh yeah, baby. All right, Rek'Sai. She is a Void and a Bruiser. Ferocious Bite. She's a 3-cost. Deal physical damage to the current target. If they are below 60% health, this damage is converted to true damage and increased by a certain amount. If this kills a target, she rips through them and she kind of dashes through them. It's pretty cool. And then also heals for a little bit there. So she's going to be very good. She's standard frontline AD carry item. So she's going to be very good with Titans, you know, Titans, what's the item? Edge of Night. Flat damage items like a Deathblade, like an IE. You don't necessarily have to build a BT. I think Edge of Night is going to be the better one versus BT because again, she can heal if she kills. So I think something Edge can be slightly better, but BT is definitely still going to be a very good item on her, even though she has natural healing in her kit. A little bit of extra healing can go a long way, especially being a Bruiser. BT does the shield on it scales with health. So yeah, so standard 80 frontline 80 carry items will be the ones you want to play on Rek'Sai. All right, Sona. Sona is a really good unit. Probably going to go in my video about best units of the set that you can plug and play. So she has Crescendo, which Sona sends a wave of sound at the largest clump of enemies and deal magic damage to enemies hit. Allies hit by the wave gain attack speed for 5 seconds, and here's the attack speed numbers right there. Obviously, it'll be changed with balance. She's a multicaster and Demacia. Something I'll just say about positioning her, she's very good if you position her right next to your carry. So if you're carrying an Azir, who is someone who scales with attack speed, you know, think about some of this tech here. She is a multicaster. Talia is a multicaster. Think about it. You put Azir right next to Sona, so you put Sona in the corner, Azir next to her. Every time she casts, she will hit Azir with her thing. So keep that in mind when positioning Sona. You want to have her behind your attack speed carry if you're going to be carrying someone who uses a lot of attack speed, or, you know, just behind your mage to give them attack speed, extra mana gen. If you want to itemize Sona, her mana cost is very high, so she's going to be very good with a Sojourn. And then after that, you can build whatever standard AP items, JG, Archangel, whatever. But she's mostly just used as a utility unit. But there's definitely builds like multicaster builds where she can carry, and I've seen her pump out some big damn. All right, Tariq, he is a Targon, a Bastion, and a Sork. He has Radiance. Tariq gains a shield for 6 seconds and it absorbs damage received by adjacent allies. He is another 3-trader and a really easy unit to play around if you get him dropped. It's very easy to play around Sorks and Bastions in the early game. I really like Tariq as a unit. When you're positioning Tariq, there's 2 ways you can position him. So if you don't have any items on him, that would make him cast a little earlier, you definitely want to put him on the end of your team because you want him to be taking damage first to protect your other frontline. So if you're running like a frontline carry, say you're like, I don't know, carrying a Yasuo, then you want to have him next to your Yasuo on the end, the one taking damage. So if Yasuo is taking damage, he'll gain his shield and he'll absorb some of that damage from Yasuo. If you have something like a Protector's Vow on him, you can put him in between 2 units that are high value to you, and he doesn't have to be taking damage because he'll cast really early from that Protector's Vow. But usually, yeah, you just position him on the end, put some tank items on him, you're good to go. Ba-ba-da, 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 ba-ba-da. All right, let's get over to Vel'Koz. Big Daddy Vel is a Void, multicaster, and Sork. So another 3-trader right here. Really easy to splash. Very good in mid-game carry. Obviously, there's some reroll times you can reroll him and that sort of thing. I did actually play Vel'Koz as one of my carries in a recent one of my VODs. You can check it out. My 4 multicaster game. We had a good time. He has been buffed a lot since then, so that's good. All right, very good mid-game carry. So fires a plasma bolt towards a target, deals X damage to the first enemy hit, and then it splits into 2, doing physical damage, 50%, or not physical, doing 50% less damage whenever it passes through an enemy. So it's its Q from League of Legends. So you throw it out. So he throws out his ability in a line. It hits his target, and then it goes out in a horizontal line. So a vertical line, then a horizontal line. Like that. Cool. And he is a multicaster, so he'll be able to cast twice. He has 0 out of 60 mana, so he's in that like sweet spot where he can be a good blue buff user. He can be a good Sojourn user. either or. Other than that, standard AP carry items on him if you want to carry him. Can be very good mid-game carry, Archangel, JG, that sort of thing. Boom, bam, boom. All right, let me get another drink, man. Woo, we're almost through here, guys. We're on the forecast. All right, Felios, he is a Targonian and a Deadeye. He is one of the premier AD carries in the game. So Moonlight Vigil fires a Moonblast. So this is like his ultimate from League of Legends at the largest group of enemies that deal physical damage to enemies within 2 hexes. Equip 4 chakrams plus 1 more for each enemy hit by the Moonblast. It's very cool. It's very satisfying when he gets all the chakrams coming back. For 7 seconds, attacks deal bonus physical damage for each chakram equipped. Damage dealt by chakrams heal Aphelios. And remember, he's a Targon, and Targon increases your healing. So you don't have to build healing items on him at all. Very cool. As long as you're running Targon, you really don't need healing items. If you end up building a Hodge on him, it can be fine. But really, his best item is Rageblade. I mean, it's just a fact. Rageblade's the best item in the set. They needed to consider that a little bit more when they made almost every single in-game carry want to use Rageblade. They needed to think about that a bit more in the design phase, I think. But that's okay. Anyways, Rageblade, and then items like IE, Deathblade are going to be really good on him. He doesn't necessarily have to have Shred on him. It's very easy to fit Freljord into your build. And again, a lot of times he'll just be casting his ability to the backline anyways. But I do find that if you build Last Whisper on him, it can be a very good item because the way Deadeye trait kind of works, a lot of times you'll be targeting backline units. And I found that a lot of times I'll just be playing Deadeye and Aphelios will like Deadeye proc someone in the corner and then he'll launch his Chakram and he'll shred them with his Deadeye and then he'll launch his Chakram and then Chakram one-shots them because they're shredded. So that can be good, but you don't necessarily have to build it. So standard AD carry items, Rageblade's his best item, and you're good to go. All right, Azir. Azir is the dude. Azir is one of the best units in this set. Very good plug-and-play unit to get Strategist, and a very good like off-carry, but also can be a primary carry of builds. I've primary carried him. I've off-carried him. I've trio carried him. He's the dude. All right, Azir, Arise. Passive. Every third attack from Azir, a Sand Soldier deals magic damage to their target. Active. Summon a Sand Soldier to attack your target. If Azir already has 3 soldiers, they all immediately deal magic damage instead. His best item is, can you guess it? Rageblade, just like almost every other in-game carry. So his best item is Rageblade. Also a very good Shiv user. Very good just standard AP carry items. If you don't get a Shiv, if you don't get a Rageblade, you can also go Sojin. It's not as good as Rageblade, but it also is very good for him. And yeah, he's a great plug-and-play unit. Great off carry, great third carry. Also can be a primary carry when he has the right setup. All right, Guinevere, she is a Shadow Isles and a Slayer. Snip, snip, boys. All right, Gwen dashes around the current target and snips 3 times in a cone, each dealing magic damage. Enemies hit. She does have her visual indicator, like she has her like her little like thing around her, but it doesn't do anything, but it looks cool. Every 3 casts gains armor and magic resist for some seconds. So Slayers naturally have healing built into their kit, but you can still build an item like a BT on her and feel pretty good. I find that she's a very good Titans user, plus like a JG, or like if you want to go like, I don't know, like Titans JG Spark, that can be a good setup. I haven't ran her as primary carry. I've seen most people run her as secondary carry, but definitely she'll be a great primary carry as well in some builds. She is a carry. Young Jarvan. Now, Jarvan is, in my opinion, the best unit in the game. You can play him in any comp. You don't need to run any of his synergies. He is the premier 4-cost CC unit in the game. He is the premier CC unit. Let's just be real. Okay, so he has Cataclysm, which is his ultimate from League. Jarvan mightily leaps on a nearby enemy, dealing magic damage to enemies within 2 hex and stuns them. So positioning Jarvan on the correct side when you fight is very important. So if you're fighting an enemy team, you want to make sure Jarvan's on the same side as their carry, because he will launch down in the it is pretty big. It's within 2 hexes, and it'll look like he shrinks them, and he's really good. Now, do you put items on him? No, actually you don't. It's very unlikely that he casts twice. You can put items on him, and he can be a fine tank, but it's usually better if you're running like someone like Shin or you know, someone who's actually a little bit more has tank built into their kit. You'd rather put your tank items on them, because Jarvan, you just want him to get his 1 cast and then he's going to die usually. But occasionally, if you do put items on him, occasionally you can get 2 casts, but just keep that in mind. He's not going to be the item holder. He is just, you just throw him in there and he just boom, Demacia. Best unit in the game. Okay. Now we have Kai'Sa. She is a Void and a Challenger. A Cathian Rain. Kai'Sa dashes away from all enemies, then fires missiles split across the 4 nearest enemies. Each missile deals magic damage. So if you played set 6, I believe, maybe it was set 7, where Kai'Sa was a legendary, it's very similar to that, except for it doesn't spread among all enemies. It's just spread among her 4 nearest enemies, right? Magic damage. Her best item is, can you guess it? Can you guess it? Can you guess it? It's Rageblade. Woo! Who would have thought? So items like Rageblade, Jeweled Gauntlet, Archangel, there's gonna be really, really, really good on her. Or like Rageblade, JG Gunblade is also very good because she does do those different instances of damage. She can get some big heals for your team and big heals for her. So yeah, there she is. She's very strong. One of the premier carries in the game. I've gotten bored playing her so much because I just always have a good setup for her and she feels good. So all right, Lux. Lux is a cool unit. She is Demacia and Sork. She's one of the premier AP carries. So Lux channels a barrage of light. She's kind of like she has like an Iron Man fist. It's pretty cool. Lux channels a barrage of light at their current target that deals magic damage and reducing their magic resistance every second. If they die, shift to a new target. So she's primarily an AP carry for sure. So if you're going to play her, you want to play items like, you know, her mana is 0 to 60, so she can fit into that sweet spot of blue buff for Sojourn. I think Sojourn's a little better. You can do that. You can build a bunch of AP on her. You can build a GS because she will be hitting her target in front of her a lot of times. Now, sometimes you just play Lux as a secondary carry in other builds. You know, you're playing like Invokers, and she can fit in there to give you Demacia, and you get a random item on her. It's very easy to play Taric in Invoker build, so you get like a natural Sork right there. So she can be really good as like an off carry as well, especially with her Magic Shred. You can put her on the same side as your other AP carry, especially if you don't have a Spark or anything like that, and she can help shred for your other AP carry. But usually she's a primary carry, but very good as off carry, and then that shred utility is a little bit nice as well. Something to think about. Okay, Nasus, Susan, the Doge, the Super Saiyan Doge, Anubis, you know him, we love him. He is a Shreeman, he is a Juggernaut. Soul Eater. So Nasus steals, he gives him the big suck, max health and 10% attack damage and defenses from nearest enemies for 8 seconds. So think like Trundle from set 5. He kind of does what Trundle does, but not nearly as dramatic. How Trundle would just invalidate your tank. Not that dramatic, but he does gain some resist and kind of helps shred a little bit for your team. While empowered, he kind of goes Super Saiyan. Every third attack, he deals bonus physical damage. So he's kind of he's a tank. He's kind of like an off carry. It's kind of weird. I've tried running some carry Nasus builds, but he doesn't ever feel like he truly pops off. But there will certainly be some patches where he is a legit carry. But I think he's best used as kind of like an off carry synergy bot. I don't know. He's a good unit. But if you want to itemize them with carry items, you want to put like Titans BT +1 is going to be good, or Titans BT. I find that to be pretty good, or maybe like Titans IE BT. Ooh, that can be pretty good. We'll see. But I don't really think about playing him as a carry, but I'm sure there'll be patches where he's a carry. Really good synergy bot though for playing like Shurima, and just overall solid unit. All right, Sejuani. She's a Freljord and Bruiser. And before I even read her ability, she does not have CC. I know that'll feel very weird if you played a lot of past sets. Sejuani always has CC. She is not the CC unit. That is Jarvan. That's why Jarvan's the man. All right, but Sejuani's pretty good, man. Freljord's a good trait, and her thing's good. So passive, whenever an ally attacks a chilled enemy, remember, chill is people who have their attack speed reduced, and there's a lot of chill we've already been able to get in the game. Ashe, that sort of thing. Whenever an ally attacks a chilled enemy, they deal bonus true damage, and this scales with AP, I believe. Active, Sejuani gains a shield, scales with AP for 4 seconds, and deals magic damage to nearby enemies and chills them. So remember, her passive, her allies, whenever they attack them, they deal damage. So a lot of times whenever she chills, so after she chills them, your team will be doing a lot of damage. And remember, combining that with Ashe. When you're running an Aphelios build with Ashe and Sejuani, sometimes you'll peek the damage charts and you'll see like 6k done by 0 item Sejuani, because she is just proccing her thing constantly with Ashe, and Aphelios is proccing it, dealing some damage to her. So you can put some tank items on her, because if she can cast multiple times, her mana cost is a little bit less here. She's very tanky with her shield, so she's a very good item holder for tank items. So just itemize her tank. You can also put a spark on her. I've thrown some random carry items on her when I've had just so many carry items, and I didn't have a place to put it, and she felt okay. But primarily, you want to put tank items on her for sure. My boy Shin, he is Ionian, Bastion, and Invoker. One of the best units in the game because he is so easy to fit into so many builds, and he's actually pretty good. So key barrier. Let's say key. Gain shield and grant shield to the 2 lowest health allies for 4 seconds. After shielding his allies, Shin's shield refreshes with a burst, dealing magic damage to adjacent enemies. Ionia bonus, 10% damage reduction for himself. So he is a very good tank item holder. So you just want to put tank items on this bad boy. You know, you could also he could also be a good spark holder if you're playing in like AP carry. You're playing like Ahri, you want to put him in front of your Ahri. He is going to be best positioned on the edge. You want him to be taking damage first, so you can apply shields to your teammates, especially like, you know, if you're carrying a Yasuo or that sort of thing, you definitely want your Shin to be taking damage before your Yasuo, so when Yasuo takes damage, he gets shielded by Shin, and you'll be good to go. All right. Okay. God, he is a Zon and a Deadeye Disdain. Passive, whenever enemies enters attack range, fire a blast from the leg facing that direction. That's a shotgun legs from League of Legends. Dealing physical damage to them. Each of Urgot's legs have 6-second cooldown. Active, gain a shield for 5 seconds and dash behind your current target, resetting all of your leg cooldown. So he is a frontline unit. He is not good with RFC. You might feel like you want to play RFC on him, but he will still just dash into the fray. You know, it can be fine, but you know, you want to build him like a frontline AD carry, so like BT Titans +1. And Bob's your uncle. You're good to go. He's just started to become playable on the PBE, so I don't have much more insight other than that. He is going to be good in vertical Zon. I think is going to be his best build most of the set. But definitely I can see some duo carry Aphelios, Urgot setups later on in the set, or maybe even now. But problem with that build right now, it's hard to fit that in because it's just better to run Ashe usually if you're going to carry Aphelios. But definitely I can see some 4 Deadeye builds where he's going to be very strong, and then also vertical Zon. And again, you build him like a frontline AD carry if you want to put items on him. All right, Big Daddy Yas, Ionia, and Challenger. So he has Last Breath. Yasuo sends a whirlwind at the furthest enemy within 3 hex, stunning all enemies hit. The stun is very short, but it is some nice little interrupt CC. Dash to and slash the original target, dealing physical damage to them. Slam them into the ground and deal physical damage to enemies within 1 hex. Passive, he gains Omnivamp. Even though he gains Omnivamp from his passive, he's still going to be a great BT Titans +1. Is going to be mostly his build. I like BT Titans plus IE. You know, he is attacking frontline a lot, so you can build like something like a GS as well if you don't want to go the BT route, that sort of thing. But just standard frontline AD carry items. But again, he does have that dash, so he will get to fight the backline units. So that's why, you know, you probably don't need a GS. He is going to be attacking backline units a lot, but you know, standard frontline AD carry items. Also, I've played him as synergy bots. He is a fine synergy bots if you need Ionia for like maybe you're carrying an Ahri or something like that and you don't have another good Ionia to play with Shin. He can be a decent synergy bot because he does have that interrupt CC. Even without Challenger, he can feel okay, but I wouldn't put any items on him in that circumstance. All right. My girl Zeri, she is a Zon and a Gunner. Surge, passive, executes enemies below a certain amount of health. This scales with AP, actually, which is weird. She's an AD carry. Kills reset the duration of Surge. I think there might be some tech where you put a Titans on her and you increase that AP a little bit, and then she gains the AD, obviously, and she's the last one left in the fight with Rageblade. I think there might be some tech there, but I haven't got a chance to test it, so don't hold me to that. Her active for the next 5 seconds attacks Chain Lightning to additional enemies, dealing physical damage. But remember, we can execute, which scales a little bit off of AP, so it's kind of interesting. Interesting setup. So, Rageblade, guys. Rageblade. Rageblade is like her best item. It's everyone's best item. They need to think about Rageblade a little bit. Other than that, standard AD carry items, Deathblade, Giant Slayer, IE, that sort of thing is going to be going on her. But you know, I might be on to something with that Titans tech, but I haven't gotten a chance to test it. I was going to test it last night, but I didn't get a chance. It didn't look good. All right, on to our 5 costs. And man, we are in the final stretch, aren't we? Oh, yeah, baby. All right. Aatrox, and he's a very complicated unit. Okay, he is a Darkin, Slayer, and a Juggernaut. Let's just talk about his trait real quick. Now, I don't talk about many traits, but I think I have to with some of these. When Aatrox or the holder of the Darkin Blade dies, the Darkin Blade is equipped to the nearest ally champion, granting them 500 health and 20% Omnivamp. After being equipped to a champion for 4 seconds, Aatrox will revive upon their death instead. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, this unit still confuses the shit out of me. So you want to put him next to if you're running a frontline carry, you want to put him next to your most important unit when you position him, and you want him to take damage first so that he dies and then revives. Okay? All right. That's all you really need. He's confusing, but that's basically how you need to play him. Okay, World Ender. Aatrox transforms for 10 seconds, gaining Omnivamp and converting all bonus attack speed to attack damage. While transformed, attacks deal physical damage. So when he transforms, he starts just like slamming down his Qs from League. They don't knock up anybody, but he'll do like he'll do that. He'll do the slash. He'll do his little flip and slam down. It's very cool to watch. Titans. Titans is going to be a very good item on him. So just, you can straight up go triple Titans, and that's probably his best in slot. No cap. And just put him on the edge. If you don't want to put items on him, you play him as a synergy bot, get that Darkin blade going. That can be good too. But I just really like putting a bunch of Titans on him. But you can put like IE, Deathblade, that sort of thing. You can put a BT on him, but he does have a lot of base Omnivamp in there as well. But again, you usually want him to take damage first in your fight so that he deals a lot of damage, then revives. That's typically how you want to play him. Ahri is my girl. Ahri is one of my favorite units, and I think she's the thumbnail for this video. So Ionia and Sork. She's got a lot going on here. Okay, Ahri steals essence from enemies around her target, dealing magic damage and 35% mana reading. You see her mana cost is pretty low. Good blue buff user. So yeah, she gives them the big suck. She steals their mana. It's very cool. I believe it's every third cast. I don't know why it says X here. I believe it's every third cast. Instead, unleashes a wave, and it hits everyone on the board. It's really cool. She like charges it up, and she's like, boom. It's really cool. This deals 33% more damage to enemies whose essence has been stolen. So she'll do extra damage to frontline. So you don't need to build something like a GS on her. Pretty cool. Her Ionia bonus, she gains 2 mana per second. And then Mana Reave, obviously you guys know what it does. It increases the max mana until their next cast of the enemy. She's very good with like blue buff Morello, just your Morello bot. She will literally hit the entire board. So that is so good. So I really like going blue buff Morello just for that. If you want to carry her, man, she can do some damage. As I said, she hits the whole board on her third cast. So going like blue buff full crit, like blue buff Archangel, JG, very good, very good. I really like Ahri. Okay, Belveth is an Empress and a Void. So let's read her little trait here. Empress, when Belveth kills an enemy, they leave behind a Void coral, whatever, that she will consume. The first coral increases her max health. She goes like, oh, and then she gets it whenever it happens. Her first time she gains 50% max health, while further corals heal her for 20% health. So you don't necessarily have to build a BT on her, which is cool. Because there's a lot of those units in this game that like they could use a BT, but you don't have to build them. I think they're doing some cool item flexibility there. Something they didn't think about with the Rage Blade though. But they thought about it with BT for sure. All right. What's her ability though? Belveth lashes out at the lowest health enemy within range. She just slaps them a bunch of times. Each deal physical damage and 1% of the target's maximum health as true damage. So she has natural like Giant Slayer kind of built in. So items that are going to be really good on her. She's a frontline. Think about her as like a frontline AD carry. So stuff like Titans, even though she can heal, you can still build a BT on her. I don't think you have to though. But something like a Titans GS, IE, that can be really good. Titans Last Whisper +1 can also be good. Titans Deathblade +1 can be good. I really like Titans on her. I like Titans on any frontline carry. So I played her as an off carry in my Kaisa build and has felt pretty good. But obviously she can also be a primary carry if you hit. Good to go. And one thing that's cool about her, she doesn't need any other traits. She can just solo carry with her no traits active, right? Which is pretty cool. So obviously going to be very good. I don't think they have built diff anymore as an augment, but if they do, it can be a good in-game built diff carry. Oh wait, she would always have her own trait active. Never mind. That's a lie. All right. Heimerdinger. Okay, we got Heimerdinger. Okay, so he's got a lot going on, guys. So he's a Piltover, Yordle, and Techno Genius. So let's just talk about his ability first. So his ability, he throws a grenade. Heimerdinger hurls a grenade towards the largest group of enemies, dealing magic damage to enemies in a large area and stunning them. So a very good CC unit. You can play him in every build. You don't have to think about if you're playing Piltover or Yordle. You can just plug and play. If you go 9, you hit a Heimerdinger, boom, toss him in. Free CC, very good. He also adds a lot of health to your board because he is a Techno Genius. And a Techno Genius, you gain a placeable Apex turret with 3 upgrade slots. Upgrade to the Apex turret will show up in your shop for 6 gold. So keep in mind, when you buy him, now one of your shop spots can potentially be taken up with this little upgrade, and it's very expensive. So keep in mind about that if you pick him up, and you need a very particular legendary to spike your board. Like let's say you need a Senna 2 to spike your board. If you buy a Heimerdinger, you're going to limit the opportunities to hit your Senna. So just consider that whenever you're doing that. So what are the effects that you can gain on it? He gets a little turret, and his turret auto attacks and shoots out random abilities every now and then. Honestly, it's kind of confusing. But you can gain an upgrade wherever it shrinks them. So it means it'll like reduce their healing or reduce their armor and MR, that sort of thing. That one's really good if you don't have like healing reduction. So there's a lot of natural ways to get healing reduction, making Sunfire a lot worse of an item this set, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of free healing reduction in the game. You can get Goldinator, which is where you execute. It's kind of like having Gold Collector. You can execute them for below a certain health threshold. There's a couple other ones, so I'm just kind of like thinking them off the dome, but you can also stack them. So like if you get 3 Goldinators, you can stack them on top of each other. So you increase the execute threshold and increase like the execute, like the chance of gaining gold or whatever. Or no, I think you get gold no matter what anyways. So, but anyways, he's a cool unit. You just plug and play him. You're just kind of playing for yourself to understand him a little bit better, if I'm being honest. All right, K'Sante. And K'Sante, at the time you make this video, is the worst legendary. And I'll explain why. But he'll probably be fixed before launch. I hope so. I keep sending Mort messages. Not angry messages or nothing. I'm just kind of like, hey, have you guys considered making this change to him? And I'll talk about the change in a second. We'll get into it. All right. All out strike. So what does K'Sante do? He's a Shreeman and a Bastion. He slams the ground, knocking the current target into the air, then smashes them away towards the edge of the battlefield, dealing magic damage and stunning them. He also stuns the group of people he hits them into. So a good CC unit. Briefly stuns and doing magic damage to enemies that collide with the target while they're being knocked back, or who are adjacent to where the target lands. If the target cannot be pushed back any further, they are knocked off the battlefield. So he can full on one-shot someone if they're in the corner. That's what he will do. If the target is still alive, K'Sante will chase after him. So what this means is, if you guys played set 4, it's Lee Sin from set 4, where he punches them and then he goes with them and then he tries to punch them again. K'Sante is exactly the same. And here's the stun duration. So why did I say he's the worst legendary in the game? The reason why I think he's the worst legendary in the game is because if he is casting his ability, if his target dies that he's casting his ability on, nothing happens. I have a clip of it that I shared with more. I really think they should change it because literally what happens if he goes to cast his ability and they die, what happens is K'Sante self-CCs himself for 1 second because he's sitting here knocking him up and he's about to try to kick him. And then when he goes to kick him, nothing happens. He doesn't deal damage to them because they're dead. He doesn't deal damage to anyone around them, and no target is kicked. His mana cost is not refunded, and he does not select a new target. So, like, half the time, K'Sante literally does nothing. And, you know, like, he's a... You know, if you upgrade him to a 2-star, it's 15 gold on your board. That does nothing half the time. So I really hope they change that. We'll see what happens with that. But K'Sante can be a good plug-and-play unit. Sometimes he just pops the fuck off. Sometimes he really goes in. If you want to itemize, you put tank items on him. He also can be a decent blue buff user, as you can see here. 40 mana. So maybe that's why they're thinking about not making it okay for his ability to do nothing half the time, as his mana cost is so low. But I don't know. It seems pretty inconsistent with the rest of their design philosophy. Even Jin reselects a new target. He's a 1 cost. All right. Ryze, he's a Wanderer and Invoker, and I am not going to go through all of Ryze's bullshit. You just need to play it for yourself. Yeah, but he's cool. Okay, Realm Warp. Ryze gains a different ability depending on which portal that's being played. There's so many portals. Yeah. He has a different effect on each of them, and they're not on this website, or I would go through each of them, but I don't remember them off rip on memory. I'll just talk about a few of them, though. Okay, Wanderer's spells change depending on the region portal players voted from the start of the game. So, a few of them that are pretty good. Like, I ran a Reroll Invoker build. I played a lot of Invokers lately with Ryze, so you can check out those VODs if you want to see them in action. Like, one of them I played that's I think is pretty good. He opens up a portal, and the portal just gives your front line a bunch of health. Like, it just like is feeding them health. You know, another one he does, he opens up a portal, and a tornado comes out of it, and it stuns basically the whole enemy team. It just goes a tornado across the battlefield. It's pretty cool. There's somewhere he opens up a portal, and a bunch of Draven's axes come out of there, and it deals magic damage. So he just does a bunch of random shit. He has one where he creates gold for you. He has one where he's like Thresh, and he opens up a portal and people come from your bench. There's one, Shadow Owl's one, this one's broken. If you're playing Reroll Invokers, he opens up a portal, and allies that have died on your team, they'll respawn with their items. Crazy. He does some crazy stuff. So Ryze is cool. So you just got to check which Ryze it is whenever you pick him up, whether he's going to be in your build for the end game. But if you're playing Reroll Invokers, or you're playing like Vertical Invokers, he will almost always go in your build, unless he's the gold generation one and you don't need any gold, then in which case maybe you don't play him. All right. Senna, Senna is a Shadow Owl's Gunner and Redeemer. She has Dawning Shadow. Senna fires a massive beam at the furthest enemy, dealing physical damage to all enemies hit, and all allies hit gain a shield. So you want to position her in the corner always. So what does Redeemer do? Whenever an ally gains a shield, grant them 7% stacking attack speed for the rest of combat. So as you can see, she's primarily a utility unit because she gives her team shields and she gives them attack speed. So she's really good. I like her a lot. So I haven't played like a vertical Shadow Owls or even like a vertical gunner build, but obviously she'll be very good with Senna as a side gunner to run in that build. But I've just played her as like a random unit. Like I just toss her in. Like if I had a 2-star Senna, I'll just toss her in because her ability is really good. Gives my team shield, gives my team attack speed, does a little bit of damage. Very good. I'm certain there'll be patches where you can play her as the AD carry, but I think she's best used as like an off carry or just pure utility unit. Meaning like I don't really put items on her. But if you want to put an item on her, you know, something like a Rage Blade or a Sojin can be very good so that she can cast off. But I think she's best to not put items on her. And if you want to carry her, it's going to be standard AD carry item. She is a gunner, and she does deal physical damage, so you'll be good to go there. All right, last one, guys. We're on Sion. Boom, we're doing it. All right, Sion is a Noxus and a Bruiser. Sion's got a lot going on. Glory and Death, passive. Upon death, reanimate with 100% health, and it decays, so he loses health slowly per second. Sion can no longer use his ability, but is immune to crowd control and gains attack speed. His active, so he can't use this after he dies. He can only use this while he's alive. Active, charge towards the most enemies within hexes, and within a certain amount of hex, like 3 hex or whatever. Deal damage to enemies along the way and stun them. I believe it deals magic damage right here, but obviously he deals attack damage here. So if you want to itemize Sion, you can itemize him as a tank. That's fine. But I find it's best either to just not put items on him. Like if you want to put your tank items on Sejuani instead. You either don't put items on him or you put like frontline AD items on him. I find he's really good with like Titan's BT. Like Titan's BT is his best in slot, I think, if you're going to carry him, because he does need that healing because his health does decay, and then he can build up that Titans. And as you know, Titans gives you AP as well as AD, and his attack speed scales with AP. So I find that Titans is a really good item on him. And there we go. All right. Is that it? Is that the last unit? Guys, that was an hour long. I just talked for an hour straight, but we went through every single unit. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. Yeah, man. It's going to be an awesome set, and be looking out for some more guides. I appreciate all of you guys. And, you know, we're going to take over on this set. We're going to make a big splash this set. Hope you guys will be along for the ride. I love you all. See you on the next one.